Christopher Dudus Coke was born into a life of crime. His father, Lester Lloyd Coke, known as Jim Brown, was the leader of the Shower Posse. This notorious Jamaican gang was deeply involved in drug trafficking and violence. Dudus grew up in the shadow of his father's power. He witnessed the gang's brutal tactics firsthand. It was a world of loyalty, fear, and unimaginable wealth. Dudus was charismatic and shrewd. He inherited his father's intelligence and ruthlessness. When Jim Brown died in a mysterious prison fire in 1992, Dudus was the natural successor. He took control of the Shower Posse. He expanded their drug empire. His influence stretched from the ghettos of Kingston to the streets of America. Dudus was more than just a gang leader. He was a Robin Hood figure to the people of Tivoli Gardens. This impoverished neighborhood in Kingston was his stronghold. He provided food, jobs, and protection to the residents. They called him Prezi. He was their judge, jury, and executioner. He held court in his office. He settled disputes. He dispensed justice with an iron fist. Dudus cultivated an image of invincibility. He was untouchable. He had politicians and police on his payroll. He controlled Tivoli Gardens like his own personal fiefdom. But his empire was built on a foundation of violence and fear, and his reign wouldn't last forever. Dudus's power extended far beyond the streets of Tivoli Gardens. He had deep ties to the Jamaica Labour Party, also known as the JLP. The JLP had been in power since 2007. They relied on Dudus for support in the ghettos. He delivered votes in exchange for political favors and protection. The US government was watching Dudus closely. They knew about his drug trafficking operation. They knew about his political connections. In 2010, they issued an extradition request. They wanted to try him on drug and gun charges. The Jamaican government was caught in a bind. They couldn't be seen to be protecting a criminal. But they also couldn't afford to alienate Dudus. He was too powerful. He had too much dirt on too many people. The Prime Minister, Bruce Golding, stalled for time. He hoped to find a way out of the crisis. The delay only made things worse. Tensions were rising in Jamaica. The US was putting pressure on the government. Dudus's supporters were becoming increasingly agitated. A storm was brewing, and it was about to break. On May 24, 2010, the Jamaican government declared a state of emergency. The army moved into Tivoli Gardens to arrest Dudus. The residents were ready for them. They had barricaded the streets. They were armed with guns and Molotov cocktails. A fierce gun battle erupted. The sound of gunfire echoed through the streets. Smoke billowed into the air. The army used armored vehicles and helicopters to attack the neighborhood. Dudus's men fought back with everything they had. The fighting lasted for 3 days. By the time it was over, more than 70 people were dead. The streets of Tivoli Gardens were littered with rubble and bodies. One of the casualties was Keith Clark, a businessman who lived in Tivoli Gardens. He was shot 20 times by the army. His family claimed he was innocent. They said he had no connection to Dudus. The army claimed he was caught in the crossfire. The truth remains murky. Dudus managed to escape the siege of Tivoli Gardens. He went into hiding. The government offered a reward for his capture. The manhunt lasted for 6 weeks. Finally, on June 22, 2010, Dudus was captured. He was disguised in a woman's wig and sunglasses. He was trying to flee to the US Embassy. Dudus was extradited to the US. He pleaded guilty to racketeering charges. He was sentenced to 23 years in prison. He is currently incarcerated at the ADX Florence Supermax prison in Colorado. The legacy of Dudus Coke is complex and controversial. He was a ruthless criminal who terrorized Jamaica. He was also a folk hero to many poor Jamaicans. He exposed the deep-rooted corruption in the country's political system. The Tivoli Gardens standoff was a turning point in Jamaican history. It shattered the myth of Dudus's invincibility. It also exposed the deep divisions in Jamaican society. The scars of that conflict are still visible today.